This conference will now be recorded.
My voice is clear.
No, sir, voice is not audible.
My voice is
Voice
clear
is
now.
off. No, sir, voice is not audible.
2 seconds. Now is it clear now? Is it clear now?
Little bit low, sir. Clear, but little bit low, sir.
So today we are going to discuss about Route 53. This is like a DNS server, domain name service, AWS DNS. We can call as a AWS DNS. So before going to discuss about Route 53, so I will explain about the traditional DNS servers. Like in Linux also we learn DNS. Windows also there is a DNS server. So what is DNS? What is the purpose of DNS? We are going to discuss here. So DNS, domain name service or domain name system, we can call as a. So by default, each and every computer can communicate with the IP addresses, but they will not communicate with the host names. So if you take any computer, so if you take any computer, by default, every computer can communicate with the IP addresses. But they will not communicate with the host names. So that is the reason, interview point of view, they will ask the question. So what is the purpose of DNS server? So DNS server is used for name resolution. IP to names and names to IP addresses, domain names to IPs and IPs to domain names. If there is no DNS server in the network, for example, I have 10 computers are there. For 10 computers communicating with host names, I don't want to configure DNS server. So in that particular point of time, how the systems they can communicate with the names, they will ask the question. Remember this point. So interview point of view, they will ask the question, purpose of DNS. Purpose of DNS is for name resolution, name to address, address to name. So we don't have DNS server in the network. For example, if there is no DNS server in the network, how do you communicate the systems with the network? They will ask the question. So in every operating system, we have a etc hosts file, /etc/hosts file. Maybe in Windows also, in system 32, maybe that file is available. So we have to write the entries in etc hosts file. Windows, maybe system 32. So I will show you that file, but every operating system, there is a etc hosts file. So in etc hosts file, we have to write the entries of the systems. So if I want to communicate multiple systems in the network with the host names, I have to open one etc hosts file. I have to write the remote system IP address and host name. Like that, if you have 100 computers, in 100 computers, every file we have to open the etc hosts file. We have to write the entry. But 100 into 100, so we have 1 lakh entries. So that is the reason, to overcome that problem, we are going to configure the DNS server. So DNS server manages 2 files, forward lookup zone, reverse lookup zone. So that is we are going to discuss. So without a DNS server, how the systems they can communicate with host names? Anybody ask you the question? So we have to write the entries in etc hosts file. Windows also same file. So it is located in etc host file. We have to open the hidden files. It will show. So open this file, write down every computer IP address and host name, IP address and host name. But if 10 computers we can manage, 20 computers we can manage, thousands of computers, hundreds of computers, you cannot manage this file. That is the reason we are going to configure one DNS server in the network. All the entries, all the computers names and computer IP addresses and domain names, we have to manage in one server, that is domain name service. So without a DNS server, we cannot access our internet also, because the website name cannot resolve. So internet, sometimes you can see whenever you are going to get the error in internet, so it shows DNS not resolved. You can check the page not found, DNS not resolved. So if DNS is down, our web page results will not work. So this is the server you have to know. So domain name service or domain name system, it provides name resolution of names to IP addresses and IP addresses to names. So it defines a hierarchical namespace where each level of the namespace is by a dot. So dot means root to DNS server. So first you have to know the top level domains, because what is the structure of DNS? Sometimes they will ask the question in interview. The structure of DNS is, in Linux, what is the file system structure? Root file system structure. Like that in DNS also, we have a structure is there. The structure of DNS is dot. So here just I we given slash for example purpose, understanding purpose, but dot means root to DNS. So dot com, dot org, we are calling like that only. So dot is the main DNS, root DNS server. Under dot, you have the top level domains. Dot com, dot net, dot org, dot edu, these are the top level domains. So how you are typing the website yahoo.com, so yahoo, gmail.com, google.com. So .com is the top level domain. So under top level domain, we have lower level domains. Yahoo, Sun, Red Hat, like that. Under lower level domains, we have under secondary level domains, we have a lower level domains. Mail.yahoo.com, docs.sun.com, like that. We have the lower level domains. So worldwide, we have 13 root DNS servers are there. So that 13 root servers are a.root.servers.net, b.root.servers.net. So worldwide, the complete internet is managed by the 13 root servers, which are managed by the US. Now these servers are managed by US. Worldwide complete internet depends on these 13 root servers only. So A to M. Under top level domains, we have secondary level domains. Under secondary level domains, we have lower level domains. Now we have two types of domaining environment is there. So initially organizational domains we have, but afterwards they developed geographical domains. So what are the geographical domains? .in India, .sg Singapore, .us, .uk, .pk. So yahoo.co.in, yahoo.co.sg, yahoo.co.us, yahoo.co.uk. So these are the geographical domains. So these are organizational domains. These are geographical domains. So this is the main structure of DNS. If anybody asks you the question, what is the structure of DNS means? Dot. Dot means root to DNS server. Under dot, we have top level domains. So after top level domains, we have secondary level domains. Under secondary level domains, we have the lower level domains. So we have two types of domain environments, organizational domains and geographical domains. So this is the DNS concept, structure of DNS. So the purpose of DNS already we discussed. So name to IP address resolution, IP address to name resolutions. So DNS manages two files, forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. So forward lookup zone resolves host names to IP addresses and domain names to IP addresses. Reverse lookup zone resolves IP addresses to domain names or IP addresses to host names. DNS manages two files, forward lookup zone file and reverse lookup zone file. Remember that point. Forward lookup zone file resolves names to addresses, domain names to addresses. Reverse lookup zone file resolves addresses to names. So this is the compulsory question they will ask in interview. What are the types of DNS records? So types of DNS records are SOA record, start of authority. Who is the authoritative person of DNS? So the particular server where you configure DNS server, that server is the authoritative person. So we have to write the authoritative entry. The first record in any zone file is the SOA record. Now NS record, name service record. Who is providing name services? What is the server name? What is the IP address? We have to tell. So it identifies the DNS server for each zone. Host record, it resolves the host name to IP address. Alias record, it resolves an alias name to the host name. Alias names is nothing but, for example, we configured one domain india.com. So if you want to open the website by using the domain name, you need some alias name. For example, there is a server one system is there. In server one, I configured one domain, server1.india.com. But while opening the website by using the same domain, you cannot type in the web browser server1.india.com. So we have to type www.india.com. So that is the alias record. Next, pointer record. It resolves an IP address to host name. MX record. So mail exchange records used by the mail servers. So these are the important records we have to remember: SOA record, NS record, host record, alias records, pointer records, and mail exchange record. This is the introduction of DNS. Now, coming to the AWS DNS, Amazon Route 53. This is nothing but DNS, but this is called as a Amazon DNS Route 53. Remember, Route 53. What is the concept of Route 53 means? It is the Amazon DNS. How it works? Just now I explained you. Again, I am telling you. DNS translates domain names into IP addresses to route traffic to websites. So you are a user. When you type www.example.com, DNS resolves with IP address. It will open the website. If it is don't know, I don't know, I will ask the authority. Who is the authoritative person? So Route 53, this is the DNS server. Then it will resolve, it will open the website. So every day, whatever it may be, whenever we are typing websites, for example, there is a flipkart.com. So whenever I typing the website flipkart.com, it will open www.flipkart.com. So here you don't know what is the IP address, but here you can see it will resolve. So now flipkart.com opened, but what is the IP address you cannot know, but DNS automatically resolved. So if you want to know the flipkart.com IP address, you can go to the command prompt. You can type ns lookup command. Then here you can type www.flipkart.com. Then it resolves with IP address. See what is the IP address? 163.53.76.86. Now www.gmail.com. It resolves with IP address now. So 216.58.200.133. Like there is a DNS server is going on. Otherwise, so we have internet connection. We have a DNS is running background. If DNS server is not there, you cannot open address. See, this is the DNS.google 8.8.8.8. So like when you type a website, it resolves with the IP address and it open the website. Like it shows here DNS, how it resolves. So user, when you type the domain name, automatically it resolves with IP address. It shows the website. Next, Route 53, AWS authoritative domain name service. Already I told you, Route 53 is the AWS DNS. Health checking service. How the servers are going on, it will check. High available and scalable. High available and scalable. Scalable means if there is high request will come, automatically it will scale up. The resources it will increase. Offers tools that provide flexible, high performance and high available architectures on AWS. So high availability DNS 100% availability is performed. Health checks and failovers, advanced regions, GeoDNS, load balancer, and wide round WRR. Next, alias records to AWS resources. Private DNS also you can manage, and domain name registration also. For example, whenever you want to buy a domain, so we are going to godaddy.com, some other domain providers are there, you are buying the domain names. Like AWS people also, they are providing the domain name registration. For that, we have to pay some amount. So just now I discussed records of DNS server. AIM is host record, MX record, NS record, pointer record, SOA record, SPF record, service record, text record, canonical name. This is nothing but alias name. This is nothing but IPv6 host records. So just now we discussed about these records. These are the DNS records. Health checks. Monitor the health and performance of your resources to help detect outage or problems. Configure health checks for various resources such as EC2 instances, RDS instances, and S3 buckets. So when our websites are going on, whenever our database is communicating, automatically it will check the DNS Route 53 will check the health checks of your servers. So whether they are going to resolving or not. So you can also configure health checks for non-AWS resources and endpoints also. Non-AWS resources also we can configure the health checks. Choose health check intervals at which Route 53 send automated requests. So interval every 5 minutes or every 1 minute or every 2 minutes. We can choose the health check intervals. So health check success configure. See here, there is a database server, web server is there. This is the primary DNS server, it is active. So if health check, good health is there, automatically will come. So whenever the health primary DNS server is not active, maybe it is down, automatically it goes to secondary DNS server. So by default, primary is active. So it is going on fine. So you are giving request, it is sending the request to you. So secondary is inactive in that time. Now see, when you provide the name registration to the website, so health check is unhealthy. So primary DNS server is not working fine. So it will inactive. Automatically, secondary server will active. That is the reason you can see whenever we take an internet connection, they will provide two IP addresses. Primary DNS server, alternate DNS server. If primary is down, automatically the name resolution is go through the secondary DNS server. Between this primary and secondary, automatically failover configuration. Clustering means backup server. Secondary is nothing but a backup server. Whereas primary is down, secondary will active. So this is health check failover. So if for success, primary only will provide the name resolution. If primary health is corrupted, unhealthy, automatically secondary will active. So routing, simple routing responds to DNS queries based on the values in the resources record set. Use a simple routing policy when you have a single resource that performs a given function for your domain. So simple resource services. Simple resource services. So what is the routing policy? By default, simple routing policy. So weighted round robin routing, latency based and depending upon the distance, geolocation routing, different geolocated DNS servers, how they are going to be communicate. So weighted round robin, weighted resources record sets allow you to associate multiple records within a single DNS name. So if you have the multiple DNS records, like one is MX record, one is a website record, so then we can go for the weighted round policy when you have multiple resources that performs the same function. And you want to Amazon Route 53 to route traffic to those resources in proportions that you specify. For example, sending 40% of queries to one server and 60% to another server. So I have two queries. So one query send the 40% requests to one server. So another resource send the 60% request to other server. The probability of any one resource record set being selected depends on its weight as a proportion of the total weight for all resources record sets in the group. So weighted for a given resource set record sets, sum of the weights for resource record sets. For example, there is a new versions of software we have, I need some load balancing. So then I have to give the more weight to that. Automatically I have to test different versions. So can be useful for variety of purposes, including load balancing and testing new versions of the sources resources. So when the load is going to balance between the two servers, so depending upon the weightage, so first server is going to give the weight for first server, but is then that health is not going to properly is there, automatically weight give the next server. Like that software versions also. So new versions are also softwares we are going to set, we are going to test. So automatically depending upon versions, it will give the routing. So latency based. So latency based routing enables you to run multiple stacks of your applications in different EC2 regions around the world. For example, we have Asia Pacific Mumbai region is there, another Asia Pacific Singapore region is there, or somewhere US East region is there. Use latency based routing when you have resources in multiple EC2 data centers that perform the same function, and you want to Amazon Route 53 to respond to DNS queries with the resources that provide the lowest network latency. So Amazon Route 53 will route end users to end the point that provides the lowest latency. So latency between hosts on the internet can change over time as a result of changes in network connectivity and routing. Latency based routing is based on latency measurements performed over a period of time, and the measurements reflect these changes. Support endpoints are EC2 instances with or without any elastic copy or elastic load balancers used for EC2 instances. So latency based is simply, so there is a server who are accessing from US region, so US region to India region, they are communicating every day. So what it will choose, so which is the nearest place to India, so it will provide the latency between that region to our region. So geolocation based, geolocation routing directs request to specific endpoints based on the geographic locations from which the request originates. Use geolocation routing when you want to Amazon Route 53 to respond to DNS queries based on the location of users. Enables you customize localized content or restrict distribution of content to only the markets you have licensed or selected to distribute it to. There are the three levels of geographic granularity: continent, country, and state. Continent, country, state level. Distribution of requests is more predictable and consistent than load balancing. So geo DNS can be combined with LBR or DNS failover for a variety of low latency and fault tolerant architectures. So private DNS servers. So use Amazon Route 53 to manage custom DNS names for resources internal to a VPC, such as EC2 instances, RDS databases, and Elastic cache nodes. So a VPC means virtual private cloud. Already we configured in our last classes. So internally, you can configure one DNS server here, virtual private cloud. Private DNS prevents these names and your network topology from being exposed to the public internet. So my private DNS server cannot expose to the public internet. They cannot access my private DNS queries. You can also use Amazon Route 53 to configure split view DNS and also known as split horizon. So split horizon DNS enables you maintain both internal and external versions. So internal DNS and external DNS versions we can use so on the same website. So the website you can access from the private network, the website you can access from the public network. That is called split horizon DNS name resolution. Next, to use for testing changes before making the public. So whenever you are going to make testing the website before going to public, internally you have to check first. If it is working fine, then you can make it public. So alias records to AWS resources. Already we discussed alias records. Elastic load balancers, Amazon S3 buckets, we can write alias record. Alias means already I told you www.someserver.com. So an alternate domain from cloud front distribution, Amazon Route 53 resource record sets in the same hosted zone. Alias record saves time as changes to the endpoint that record is pointing to are automatically recognized. For example, AWS people will give a big alias, big name to the open the website, but we cannot remember that type of path. What we have to provide for that big path, we have to give some alias name. So easily you can identify and you can easily open the website. For example, there is a name server abcxyz.india.com. So I cannot remember some server abcxyz.india.com. So just to www.india.com. So like that, by default, when we are working with cloud environment, AWS, whatever the websites we created, they will provide by default their DNS name. It is very big, so we cannot remember that name. So as a AWS administrator, so you have to provide the alias names. So DNS registration. So domain name registrations, we have so many domain name registered ISPs providers are there, like godaddy.com is the most popular. So you can check in internet, so many service providers, they will provide the domain name registrations. So AWS, they are providing domain name registrations. So when you register a domain, Amazon Route 53 will automatically create the hosted zone for your domain. So transferring domains to Amazon Route 53. If you have a own domain is there, you can transfer the domain to the Amazon Route 53. Transferring your domains to Route 53 allows you to manage all your domains in the same place as your name servers and hosted zones. So whatever you are using your own domain, so without changing any information, so as it is, you can put into the Amazon Route 53. So this is Amazon Route 53. So configuration part tomorrow we are going to see, because we have to create few Linux instances, we have to configure websites, and we have to use our own domain name also. So I will check it out the domain name, then only we can see the output. Then we are going to see the tomorrow no class, maybe Saturday. So Monday we are going to see the Route 53 practical scenario. Okay, Mr. Kapil.
Yes, sir.
Monday configuration.
Okay, sir. Sir, videos are not uploaded, sir. Please remind them at least for more than.
Yeah, I will tell. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, tell.
Tell
Hello.
me.
Sir,
Tell me,
please
Kapil.
tell them. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm talking about all the videos, networking, and there are some more videos also, sir.
Okay, no problem. I will tell them.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Thank you, Ramakrishna.
Sir, my brother Uday Kiran, I invited him to join your Linux demos.
Okay.
Initiated.
Uday Kiran.
He interested actually. Uday Kiran, my brother, my cousin brother actually.
Okay.
In my village only. I told he is studying BTech third year now.
Okay.
In Khammam only. I